Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to my first Battleground Blitz guide. This may end up being the most important one that I make as well. I'm going to go through every single map and talk about the rules, the dynamics, how you score points, how you win the game, as well as the advanced strategies, like what can you specifically do as your role to make the biggest difference? How can you turn the tides of fate in your favor to get rating as fast as possible? We're going to go through every single map in Battleground Blitz, especially the ones we're going to take a lot of time with, the ones that have changes to the rules in a Battleground Blitz scenario, which there are many of them. And it's going to be a long one, so timestamps, as always, down below. Please use them to find the map that you need the most help with, and let's dive right into it. Starting with the yachts right here on the screen. This one has the most changes in Battleground Blitz, so of course let's start with it while our brains are fresh. First of all, you can see there are 4 nodes: Mage Tower, Draenei Ruins, Fel Reaver Ruins, and Blood Elf Tower. But unlike BG's, which I'm sure you're coming here from, only 2 of those nodes are going to be up at a time. It's going to start with Fel Reaver Ruins and Draenei Ruins, which means at the beginning of the game, Mage Tower and Blood Elf Tower are inactive. There is nothing there. There is a tower there, but you cannot capture it. There's nothing to do. It is inactive in the beginning. I promise you. Draenei Ruins and Fel Reaver Ruins are interactable, meaning you can do the standard thing in a battleground where you click on a flag, and if you're not touched, if you're not interrupted, if you're not hit by a damaging spell or crowd controlled, then you assault that base, and if you hold it for long enough, it's captured and you start getting points for it. That can happen at either Fel Reaver or Draenei in the beginning. There's also a flag in the middle. That flag in the middle is interacted with in the same way. You start clicking it. If you're touched, it'll stop your cast. But if your cast goes all the way through and nobody hits you and nobody CCs you, then you'll grab the flag and you can run it to a base that you own. When you run it to a base that you own, you can capture the flag, and that will give you a huge chunk of points, but it'll do one more thing. It's going to switch the active nodes. So I said, and I assure you, Fel Reaver Ruins and Draenei Ruins were the only ones active. Well, now, those go neutralized. No matter who had them captured, everything's neutralized, and Mage Tower and Blood Elf are now the ones that are active. And it will switch back and forth like that every time you capture a flag. If a no flag is captured, the same 2 bases just stay there, and whoever has them is getting points for them. But the second the base captures, no matter who captures it, no matter where, it's going to exactly flip the bases to the other 2 that were inactive previously. Again, the capture mechanic is 4 seconds of completely uninterrupted flag interaction, right? So the things that interrupt that are damaging spells, not doubt applications unless they also come with damage. So an Ice Lance, a Howling Blast, a Mortal Strike, an auto attack from an Arms Warrior, any CC, a Leg Sweep, a Sap, right? You can stop them from casting as long as you interact with them in some way, but if you don't, they capture. So of course the standard idea is to CC the other player there so that they can't do anything to you, and then you capture it in their face, and then now it's your turn to make sure that they don't capture it, and then it'll lock in onto your side. And those are the basic mechanics. When you capture a base, you start getting points. If you captured both bases, you would get more points. When you capture the flag, you get points, but again, you lose any bases you have control of because they both go neut and they swap. So a very, very powerful win condition on this map is to have both bases and not flag. Because if they have the flag and they were able to win the flag, but there's no bases to capture it at, they are stranded. They have nothing. So they have to go to a base that you own, which they could try and take it from you, of course. But the problem is they're doing that with a flag in their hands, so they're on a timer. Because any flag in Battlegrounds starts stacking up a damage taken debuff on you. And when you've got the flag in your hands and you don't have anywhere to get rid of it, that's just going to start ramping up. And they could tunnel all their people. You're giving them a perfect focus target to all go on the flag carrier, which means you're going to be taking all the damage from all their players, and then you might get killed, drop the flag, they pick it up and capture, and then all of a sudden it's 2 bases and a cap. So the most powerful strategy here is to try and get 2 bases. Now, you can only be solo queued or duo queued with 6 other randoms, so it's not like that's easy, but there are ways you can influence this. Advanced strategy time, we'll talk about it. First of all, you can type in chat. You don't want to get too noisy because people will get frustrated back and forth, right? The best thing you can do is just let people know what you're doing. If you are a rogue or an Ardruid or something with CC, here's a good way the game can go. Let's say you are Horde side and you just tell anybody, hey, grab Fel Reaver Ruins. And somebody goes over there and gets it. If you're rogue and you have a Druid partner that you're duo queuing with, you get your spinners to come here. If you can, hopefully they do. You get anybody who can spin to come to this middle node, and then you run off for their base. Because if you stealth over there, they don't know you're coming, right? It's BG Blitz, it might not be perfectly organized. You will just appear at their base with you and your other stealthy, and you CC on them with your fantastic CC toolkit. Kidney. You sap one, you kidney the other, you start capping, he clones anybody's trinket, right? You can blind a trinket, you guys just capture on 1 people, 2 people, you can even do 3 if you're insane. And once you've captured that node, it's up to you guys to use your defensive now. Cloak of Shadows, evasion, you can spin from afar, you can sap them, you can blind them if you still have it, to stop them from being able to both capture the flag or attack you, right? If they want to kill you, then they're CC'd, right? You can get re-stealths, you can do all these things. Anyway, the idea is that if you're a CC player, try and get their base, right? Don't try and get your own base right off the bat, because somebody's going to click that thing, right? Try and get their base, because that's where your CC is the most important, somewhere it's desperately needed to capture. And, well, that leaves if you are a bruiser, right? Maybe not somebody who's a CC player, maybe somebody who's got a lot of disruption, is tanky, has good spins, has good survivability, has good cooldowns to rotate, like a DK, or anybody else really, like a warrior, honestly, has a good upfront spinning toolkit, right? And Shockwave, you could AoE stun them. You should be going straight to that middle point, that flag in the middle, and you should be stopping them from leaving or from capturing it. If your team is getting, if you have coordination, you just by looking at what people are trying to do, and you see people are going after bases, then you could say, all right, there's 5 of them and there's only 3 of us. That's true, we're outnumbered. But that means we outnumber them everywhere else. So if I both survive, CC them, and keep them from peeling out, then that means we are winning the other 2 things, which are more important. So you go to that mid node, you grip people, you change them, you blind them, you AoE stun them, you Death Strike, you IBF, you AMS, you Death Strike even more. Do you care that you're not killing them? You shouldn't. Every runic power spent on Death Strike, or if you're a warrior, shockwaves them. Fear them out of the shockwave and don't break it. Yeah, you want to do damage, but just fear them. If they trinketed your shockwave, you've got a full fear. You just let them sit it. You stabilize. You let your healer, and you need a healer there for this to work, but let's say it's a Mistweaver. He can spin, maybe you need to leap out, defensive stance, then he spins with Ring of Peace, okay? He knocks everybody off the flag. The flag is empty for a little while, it's not being CC'd. Then you dive back in when you're full health, and you get another Blade Storm in there, maybe then your Shockwave comes back up. Right? You need to play disruptive, you need to play tanky, you need to sit distance or spam Death Strike. You could even do it as a mage. You don't just have to be a melee, you could be a caster. Frost Mage has amazing tools for this. Frozen Orb on the point. Spins around in circles, constantly disrupting their ability to cap. If you're in trouble, you blink out. If you're in a lot of trouble, you block. You get your regenerative ice to start feeling your health pull back up, and then you come out of block, and then you reset it with Cold Snap, you pop an Ice Berry, you blink out again, maybe Frozen Orbs back up, you get another spin on there. Ice Lance instant cast also spins, even if it's not a proc Ice Lance, it doesn't matter how much damage it does, as long as it does any damage, and you spin them, right? So the name of this game is the disruptive, high disruption, high CC, great spin potential classes should find themselves not in 7v1s, because then their tools are wasted, but like 3v4s or 3v5s, where they're spinning. It doesn't always have to be the capture point there. That would be best, or sorry, the flag capture point. That would be best, because then you have 2 bases, and when you eventually lose flag, they've done nothing this entire time. You've been just racking up points, and now they have a flag they have nothing to do with. Of course, that's best. But let's say they have 6 people at Fel Reaver trying to take it. 6 people. They're just zugging Fel Reaver. And you're one of those classes. You're a disruption, high CC, mage, warrior, DK, right? With a Mistweaver. And maybe he's your partner. Maybe he just happens to be following you. Maybe he's there. Keep them there. Grip them from pulling out of Fel Reaver ruins. Change them. Shockwave them. Do it there at the Fel Reaver instead. Because now, okay, you don't have 2 bases, but you got 6 people locked down here. And if you can stall them for as long as humanly possible, that means the rest of the mechanics are going in your favor, because there's 3. 2 bases and a flag. And if you hold people at one spot, right, then that means the other 2 of those spots are both winning. So you have a base, they have a base, but you have the flag. Or you have a base, you have the other base, and they have the flag. But as long as you're winning 2 out of the 3 scenarios, you're in good shape. So there you go. That's a lot of ways to win this map, but there's more to talk about. This is going to be the longest section, for sure, because you also have to be ahead of the curve. Now, a lot of what I said, you kind of need to have some work with your teammate. Now, you can 3v5 them, even if your teammates aren't playing perfectly. If you're putting them in a situation to win, that's all you can do. Look, you're not going to win every game. Sometimes your teammates may let you down. But if you are doing your role, more often than not, you will win. If you put your team in a 5v3 everywhere else on the map, more often than not, you will win. Sure, there's going to be one that you lose and it's going to feel really bad, but you cannot give up with putting your team in advantageous spots, because that's the only way to win. You don't get to just have all 8 people in your queue. It's duos or singles, right? So you're just going to have to keep knowing that you're making a difference that way. Anyway, here's a more solo-oriented idea. You also have to be ahead of the curve. You know, even if things are going wrong, let's say they have a base and the flag, and they're about to go grab this flag in the middle and run into Draenei Ruins. That's their base. That means they're going to kind of win this altercation. There's something that's about to happen. Both of these bases are about to swap, which means right when they capture it at Draenei Ruins, Mage Tower and Blood Elf Tower are the new ones up. So you could, if you see him going straight for it, you can see him using his mobility. He's like, I'm going to cap this, I'm going to cap this. You could have you, and especially your duo partner, positioned accordingly. You could be at Blood Elf, and he could be at Mage Tower, or you could just be at Blood Elf, and then you capture it the second it comes up. The best thing, actually, is to be on the side of them where they capture the flag, because now you're capturing their base, and you could spin their base. Somebody will capture your base, and you will spin their base in their face, allowing you to get both bases for a little while and start racking up points and stall up all their players because they have to deal with you at Mage Tower, and then maybe your team gets the flag on the next one. So that is called being ahead of the mechanics, being ahead of the curve. You know they're going to swap. So instead of being like, it swapped, now I'm going to run from my base to this base. Oh, no, I didn't get there in time, right? You can say he's running it. He's running it to DR. He's running it to DR. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I get the Blood Elf. He captures. It swaps. I'm there. I capture, right? Or Mage Tower, right? So you can do that. You can be smart with that. The other thing you can't do, though, is camp out at the non-active base. So let's say, again, Fel Reaver and Draenei are active, meaning Mage Tower and Blood Elf are inactive. You can't just sit there saying, well, they'll capture the flag eventually, so I might as well just be ahead of it. No, that's not being ahead of it. You're not seeing any information that causes you to want to make a proactive play. You're just sitting there. So that means for a lot of the game, you're effectively not there, which means they're 8v7 because you're not doing anything. So you have to know when the flag looks like it's going to be captured and when nothing has happened, and you got to make a play for a base that's already active, right? And those are all the rules and mechanics and advanced strategies that I can think of quickly in Battleground Blitz Eye of the Storm. That's the new Battleground Blitz version and all the little things you want to do. If you're a CC capper, go. Put pressure on their base. Don't just sit at your base the entire time. Look, if your base is constantly under assault, you could 1v3 spin, and that would be fantastic. But if there's nobody there, don't just plant yourself there. You got to go make a play. And if you are a disruptive, high survivability, high CC, high output spec, go scare them. Go put pressure on a 3v5, keep them there and lock them down. CC them, slow them. Do not let them do what they're trying to do, which is grab the flag there or capture the base there. Just constantly infuriate them, frustrate them, make it so they can't capture this. So when they finally do capture it, they realize that they've been losing the other two areas for half the game. Eye of the Storm. Let's go on to the next one. Battle for Gilneas. This one's going to be a lot shorter. It is the standard battleground version of Battle for Gilneas, which means there are 3 nodes, and you capture them regularly, and they're all 3 always active. What a standard capture is, again, in Battleground Blitz, is a 4-second, you can't be interrupted, or you can't be hit or interrupted or CC'd in any other way, and if none of those things happen, then you assault the base, you hold it for long enough without them re-assaulting it, you capture it over, and if you have 2 out of 3 bases, you're getting all the points, right? Which means you'll just win eventually. If you have all 3 bases, you'll win in seconds. If you have 2 out of 3 bases, you get a huge lead. I think it's 5 points that you get for only the 2 points that they get every time the points iterate and tick, right? So you start racking up a commanding lead. The only win condition is getting 2 out of 3 bases or 3 out of the 3 bases. If both teams have 1 and the other node is spun, then what you want to do is be really smart and continue having your spinners, just like we talked about with EOTS, have your spinners at that node and start slowly peeling. Don't peel everybody out, but peel one person out to have an advantage, and then peel another person out, and just try and stabilize at that middle with a big tanky melee, a big tanky frost mage, and a big throughput healer, and just keep spinning it while you try and make a play at their base, right? You try and get your CC guys or your very high burst pressure guys to kidney, and then icy veins, or maybe kidney and then incarn, and just blow somebody up. CC the other guy and capture it, but you don't want to just abandon a base. Never abandon a base. You can't give them something for free to try and get something else. You have to, because then they'll just go to that something else. You have to slow them at that nuded base, keep them there for a while to try and get something else. So you're going for 2. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation where this base is captured, this is lighthouse, this base is captured, this is mines, and this one is nuded, this is waterworks, right? So this is the middle map. This is where Alliance spawns, this is where Horde spawns, right? This is right in the middle of the map where both teams have access to, and sometimes it might just be getting spun. And all you have to do is just slowly rotate out your high. So if you're a high peeling class, say, hey, I'm going to mines, right? If you're a high disruption class with high survivability, say, I will survive. I will spin this forever. Now, you can't really type that in chat quickly, so you got to be smart. You just got to be like, I'm spinning, right? In all caps, I'm spinning. If you can type really fast, that'll be helpful. Otherwise, you kind of just have to hope that your team's making the right play. But as long as, again, you're doing the right thing. If you're a CC capper and you're making plays at their bases, and you're actually making plays. You're not just sitting there in stealth and saying, why haven't I won this yet? You're making active plays. You're CCing trinkets. You're grabbing the flag. You're re-CCing him. You're working with your teammate. You're trying to understand how they want to play. You know the classes. Like Boomkin wants to put him in a clone, and Mage wants to put him in a poly. Clone is unbreakable, so if the clone goes off, you can just start spam casting. Poly, you have to make sure that you're not attacking anything, or it'll break, and then the poly is ruined, right? You just have to make sure you're doing your role. And if you're doing your role, you can win. Again, there's no other secret mechanics here. Battleground Blitz only has the 4-second cap time and nothing else changes. So if you have 2 bases, you're going to start winning very fast. If you have 3, you win instantly. Alliance, again, grabs Lighthouse in the beginning. Horde grabs mines, and then a lot of people will play for this team fight, but you can easily just cross if you're a CC node and go straight for Lighthouse and try and capture that out from under them. But somebody has to probably look for them doing the same thing at your base, so in this case mines, to make sure that they don't just get it for free. It is about defending what you have. This is a very important one, to defend what you have, because there's only 3 nodes. You can't just give them one. You've got to defend what you have, make smart plays with the right classes at their base, and disrupt them where they have their most people. Or if you're fantastic at team fight, like your team fight has a lot of DKs and a lot of warriors and a lot of demon hunters, you might be able to just run down their healers, kill the node very quickly, and then get these 2 instead of these 2, right? You could grab that middle one with insane high octane damage, and then you don't have to disrupt them at all. You can just win the team fight. The reason that I prioritize talking about disruption, 8v8 is a different beast. That's why. It's just an animal where all bases, especially in Deepwind and Arathi, which we'll talk about soon, bases are under assault a lot. You've got to be smart with objective. You've got to be smart. You can't just, believe me, I love team fighting. You can't just be whoever does the most damage wins. You do have to make plays objectively for your base, for theirs. You have to defend things. It's very, very important. So high mobility classes that can get back and spin a node. Really good base hitters like BM Hunters and even Locks or Frost Mages. If you see somebody coming, you don't just turn around and leave and let them have it and go do something fun. Sit that base, defend it. Be a hero. Be the difference maker. Be the reason you didn't lose that base. Sure, you want to be going out and making a play, but you're making a play. Because they get that mines. If you leave it, they just get it. So you defending that base is making a play. If you're a base hitter, a BM Hunter, even a Demo Warlock, a Boomkin even, if nobody else is there and you're stealthed and you're going to mid, but then you see somebody going, go back, moonfire them, spin them, and clone them and keep them off that flag, right? So that is very, very, very important, and that's Battle for Gilneas. Okay, now we're going to Arathi Basin. Unfortunately, I didn't have a good map with all the bases in, so I'll go through it real quick. We've got stables here, LM up here, blacksmith in the middle, mines right over here in this mine area, and then farm right over here by the Horde. This is Alliance, this is Horde, that much is shown. So that's 5 bases. But this and Deepwind are massively changed for Battleground Blitz. So once again, I go through the rules very precisely. There are 5 bases, and they have the same assault and then wait period for it to be capped over. Just like Battle for Gilneas, just like Yacht. So that part, you know. You have to click it. You can't be interrupted. It gets assaulted. And then after a period of time, if they don't interact with it, if they don't capture it back, you get that base locked in. But here's the difference. When the base is locked in, you can't interact with it anymore. Even if you're the enemy team. Like, of course, you can't interact with it. You already have it. But the enemy team cannot capture it until it goes neuted by a timer. And this is crazy, so listen very carefully. Because for the longest time, no BG has ever acted like this. You go assault, let's say you're at stables. You go assault stables, okay? It now locks in for you. You don't have to just babysit it the whole time. You could go make a play because they cannot capture it. The whole point is trying to lock in bases and then go make plays on other places, right? Accidental bars. You do not need to babysit a captured node, only one that is in between captures. So something that has a little blue half where it's not quite yours yet, but then it goes fully blue if you're Alliance or fully red if you're Horde, and that is locked in. Again, the reason for this is because it's Battleground Blitz, so it's very fast-paced. The nodes will newt themselves immediately. So effectively, think of it like this. Once you've locked in a base, you've got some points. Like you just captured a flag, effectively. You've got points. Now you just need to go get points elsewhere. You need to go to a different node until that one is available again. So you can see the advanced strategies on this are going to be very potent, because what you can't do is capture a base and then never return to it, because it will go newt and you want to get that base again. But you also can't just babysit. If you only have 2 nodes, right? You guys have been locking in the same 2 nodes the whole time. If you guys just babysit those 2 nodes, they're just going to get the other 3. They're just going to win. You have to find a place, a happy medium. Let's say, again, you're a druid and you've captured stables and it's locked in. Get the points for that. Go down to a quick base, mines or blacksmith, something close to you. You could even get up to LM, but let's say mines here. See if you can clone cap on this guy. If it's going really well, capture it if it's available. If it's not going very well and you see the timer on this, you say, okay, it's been about 20 seconds, go back and recapture stables and then make another play. You don't leave stables forever. You don't abandon the existence of stables. You just say, for a moment here, I need to use my power elsewhere and know that if things are going well, I'll make a play there. If they're not, I need to get back to stables to give it another try. And you just keep doing that. Grab stables, go for something else. Grab stables, go for blacksmith. Grab stables, help your team at LM. Let's say you're about to win it. You run in there, right? You got it. This time you run up to LM. They're sitting 2 at mines because you kept going there. But this time you go to LM, you pop in Karn, you do a huge AoE burst. 3 people die. You capture this one as well. And maybe you already have blacksmith. Now you've got your 3. Maybe they even made plays at farm because they were scared about mines. Because you just kept going there. But then this time you grab the stables, they grab the mines, and you go up to LM and you make a difference there, right? Find places to make a difference and do not sit at a base that they have, right? Wait for that base to be almost neuted and then start going there. Again, you have to be ahead of the curve. You need to be going for the base that's 5 seconds away from being neuted, not sitting a base that they've had, right? Let's say they capture it, you don't get the capture back in time, and it locks in their favor. Now for 45 seconds or so, they have access to that base and they get the points and you can't do anything. Don't sit there, because that is wasting your time. Go do something else and then come back later when it's about to be neuted. When it's about to be neuted, maybe you could cap it out from under him this time. But don't just sit there, or otherwise he's just going to sit there and he's getting points and you're not getting points, you're not doing anything, right? So the whole point is understanding this locked in mechanic where a base becoming uninteractable upon capture like that means you need to go find something else to do for 30 seconds and then float your way, meander your way back over there. As for specific roles, again, CC classes are going to just be going around in circles, capturing everything that they can, spinning something when they need to, and capturing something when they need to, and just understanding the locked-in mechanic. While team fighters will try and find as many people as they can to keep them there and away from other bases, to kill them and overrun a base. Do not sit in a team fight where you're 6v4 and nothing has happened. If you're a team fighter, listen to me very carefully. If you are a Death Knight, a warrior, a demon hunter, a Windwalker monk, well, Windwalker monks should be skirmishing, but let's say you're in a team fight because you also have a ton of AoE damage and you're 6v4 and nobody's dying on their team. Get the heck out of there, because you know what that means, right? They're going to be capturing every other base. If you win that team fight, you only get 45 seconds of points from it. You didn't really even do anything at all. You killed 6v4 for 45 seconds of points while they got every other node, right? If you find yourself in a situation where you have more players than they do and it's going too slow, then you need to hightail it out of there. Windwalkers and DHs, please go first for us DKs. You're mobile. And then we, maybe with 2 people left, can hold their 4 there while you guys do other things, right? We don't want to be 6v4ing them. We want to be 2v4ing them and capturing everything else around. Don't get trapped. Don't get stuck in never-ending team fights where you have more people than them. Force never-ending team fights where you have less people than them, because you are trying to put the rest of your team in an advantageous spot. This is long-winded and a ton of words, and you might have to watch it more than once, but this is the best advice, I swear, that you'll find on YouTube. Because I will see people in 6, I'll just press M and there'll be 6 people here, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you'll eventually win it, but what have you earned? 45 seconds of a capture node. But what do they have? More people here, 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 and here. And how many bases is here? 1. How many bases is everywhere else? 4. 4 is more than 1, they win. You have to know, are we winning this? Can I win it instantly? Great, I'll kill their whole team in one shot. Have we been here for a while? Is it going poorly? Peel out. I'll keep them here. I'll slow them, peel out, right? Coordinate with your duo partner as much as you can, and if you're a single player, just try and make the right call. If you're a Windwalker or a Demon Hunter, use your mobility. Get out of there. If you're a Rogue or a Boomy, never go to that team fight. Go to the off nodes and capture them. If you're a mage, same thing. Slow people from getting out, double blink, get to a node, polymorph, try and cap. Use your massive single target burst damage to immediately turn an off node somewhere over here in your favor, right? Be a difference maker in that you won't find yourself say, hey, if everybody else is there, I don't need to be there, right? Don't say, well, they're throwing, so I'll throw too. Just get yourself and as many people as you convince to get to the off nodes and make plays. And that's Arathi Basin. Now, actually I have to go to Deepwind Gorge because it's the exact same mechanic. A little weird map here. They've got all the cooldowns shown as well. I actually kind of like that. So what we have is 5 bases. We have Quarry, Ruins, Farm, Shrine, and whatever this one is. Mid. Blacksmith, probably. Not Blacksmith. Maybe it's Market. That's the one. So Market, and then the 4 off nodes. Market is the one in the middle, so sometimes there are team fights there. Everything I just said about Blacksmith applies to Market, right? But there are some other things going on, like Zerking, and then cooldown reset, and then cooldown reset. Cooldown reset literally does exactly what it says, where it resets every single cooldown at the same time. So if you have used everything and you see it up, just grab it. Or if you see it up, use everything while you're trying to get there, and then grab it, and then you'll still have your cooldowns rolling that you just used. And then you'll also have an entire new set of them after those cooldowns went down. So just make sure you're never touching that thing before pressing all of your offensive and defensive cooldowns, so you just wasted them. You could literally just spam your hand. If you're a ret, you could just bubble. If you're a DK, you could just spam your face on IBF, AMS, Lichborn, Pillar, then walk over to the cooldown reset, then use the rest of those durations to go one-shot somebody, and then you can press them all again, right? So, yeah, cooldown reset, Zerking, 4 bases on the outside and Market in the middle. This has the exact same capture mechanic as Arathi Basin. So I have to link, if you just came here from a timestamp, you actually have to go back to the timestamp of Arathi Basin to get a full explanation, but it is the 4-second window, uninterrupted, untouched. You assault something. If it captures, it's locked in for you. Okay? Same exact thing. It's locked in. They cannot touch it. They cannot deal with it. They cannot recapture it because it's locked in, and then it'll eventually, the game will make it go newt, and then you can interact with it again. Same as Arathi Basin, so watch that timestamp. Deepwind is no different in playstyle than Arathi. These really go hand in hand, which is why I did one after another, except it's bigger, right? It is very big. So you use the mounted movement speed, and you just keep trying to find things that are uncontested, right? This is probably one of the only maps that might need a change. It's a little too big for the mechanic, and that sometimes people are just running around clicking flags, clicking flags, and one team happens to have 3 in the rotation, the other happens to have 2, and it just feels like the tide, the flow of the tides was in your favor, right? It's just a really big map for the 45-second capture and the newt thing, which makes it really hard to influence the win. But if you're a class that has a lot of power, all you have to do is the same mantra that I've been spewing. Can you keep more people at a base than you have? 2v4, 1v2, 1v3, 2v5, 3v5? Every time that you're less and they're more, but you're keeping them there and they can't capture it, that means you have numbers everywhere else to go capture bases. So can you do that? Okay, well, what about CC cap? Can you CC cap on 2 people at the same time? Are you a rogue? Are you a druid? Do you have a rogue and a druid in your party? Can you go with a rogue and an R-druid and capture on 3 people at the same time with massive CC? Go do it. And then spin it and then dash out of there. And then they'll be dazed and confused about how we just got capped on. Should somebody stay here? We need to get it when it comes back up. And while they're trying to figure out what they need to do, you go capture something else because you know you have that locked in for 45 seconds. I'm effectively going to say this timestamp is Arathi Basin Part 2, because all it is Arathi Basin, but bigger and a little less suitable for BG Blitz. It's a shame this map seems to pop up so often. It's not terrible, but it just feels like the least influenceable one, not because of the mechanics. The mechanics are good. You can absolutely make plays with these mechanics. It's just because these 4 bases are so dang far apart from each other, sometimes you're just spending all the game mounting up and running for needed things. It's rough. Even the movement speed on the mount just means you're still just mounted and moving very fast, but you're still mounted and not making plays. You're just using your mount to run fast. So watch the Arathi Basin timestamp. Then from that, go into this one and see if you can figure out some more advanced strategies just by how you can position yourself in a triangle, right? Can you affect all 3 of these bases? Get this one, it caps over, run to this one, try and assault that one, go back, cap this one again, go here, right? Do this sort of thing. Maybe try and spend as little time doing these types of cross as possible, because again, you'll find yourself using too much time. All you need is 3 bases to win. You don't need 5, you just need 3. If you have 3 bases, you're winning. So try and do a small triangle like this or like this. But the second you find yourself going, you're out of the game for too long and you might just randomly have them get these 3 or these 3, right? When you're over here, then by the time you get back, they've capped this one. Anyway, impact plays, short length between bases. Always try and be doing something. Once something's captured over, leave it, make a play. Whew. Okay, so now we're on the FC maps. FC maps are identical in how you win to how they were in Battlegrounds and Rated Battlegrounds, where you need to capture a flag, and you cannot capture the flag if both teams have the it's like standard capture the flag material. You have to grab their flag, you run it over. This time there's no capture mechanic where you have to have like be uninterrupted. You can just go run, click it, now it's on your back. And you have to run it back to your base and get on the capture point. But if your flag is out as well, then whoever, one team needs to return the flag by clicking it once they've killed the guy holding it, so you can capture. If both flags are out, neither team can cap. Okay, that's so basic, I probably didn't need to explain it, but in case there's somebody who is brand new to the game, congratulations, you got that bit of information. But there is very unique things now. One, well, really, the biggest and only unique thing is healers and DPS get a bonus to survivability while holding the flag. This is healers and DPS only, not tanks, healers and DPS. So if you are a Mistweaver, a DK, or a Rogue, or anything that falls in those 2 roles, you now get a stam buff. So I think it's a 10% max health buff, but also a 25% damage reduction in stuns. I think the reason they did that is because no DPS or healer could really live a kidney shot. Because they're not a tank, and only tanks have tools to deal with that generally. I mean, a DK has IBF and Trinket, but even a DK would really struggle on the 3rd stun to do anything because they don't have all the passive damage reduction that a tank does. But now they get a 25% wall as long as they are holding the flag and they are stunned. And they always get a max health debuff, or sorry, increase, max health 10% increase if they are holding it at any time. It doesn't matter if they're stunned or not. Okay. So what does that mean? It means tanks can tank because they're tanks, but it also means healers can tank and DPS can tank. Anybody who feels like they understand their toolkit should be able to tank. Now, there are classes that are just very bad at it, like Warlock. Warlock is not very mobile. Very easily opened on, insanely disruptible. So anything they would want to do to try and counter pressure you or get them off of you, you could just kick it, stun it, silence it, anything. They just can't move very well. They cannot counter you in any way. They're just very tough to hold the flag. So maybe if you're a warlock, support your team, right? Don't grab the flag, maybe. Maybe just support your team with gateways and peels and fears and damage and all that utility that you can bring. DKs can hold it because they have IBF, AMS, Death Strike, tons of survivability, good counter pressure that they can do even while holding the flag. You can't disrupt it. They could blind you off of them. They could AoE stun you off them. But that DK, just because I play, it's not the only one. Mistweaver is fantastic. They have port. Locke has port, but Mistweaver has double roll and port and self heals and fort brew and you can jump down. Let's say you're here, right here. You're on the second floor of the Horde base, and you have the flag. You could drop down. You set your port up here, drop down, run into the water, and they all have to chase you because if they're not chasing you, they're not doing any damage to you. If they don't chase you, then you just sit there and you're just like, well, I'm sitting pretty. They're not attacking me. If they do chase you, then you port back because you can port through the wall as long as you're close enough, which you will be in the sewer down here. You can port back up to second floor. And now they have to go all the way around because they can't teleport. It's tough to deal with. You can actually do it right here in the Alliance base as well. Second floor, run out to the broken ramp here, port back up. Okay, so that's something that you could do. You could also do it if you're a mage. You could run a flag if you're a mage. Will you die? Yeah, you can die, but you have blink out of stun. That's a really powerful tool. Having that mobility to be able to get out of stuns and go forward a great distance at the same time is very useful. Not the best FC, but it's there. Vengeance Demon Hunter, obviously fantastic. Guardian Druid, still fantastic. But Feral Druid can run it. They can shift into bear form and get that bear form damage reduction, but also a 25% damage reduction because they're still technically a DPS spec. So you get their bear, but then the 25% damage reduction in stuns, and they get that huge health pool that they can use big frenzied regenerations with. You could go feral and have all the bear talents. You can switch your talents in the beginning. You might not be able to switch your spec, but you can switch the talents you're running. So if you're saying, I'm going to run this flag, go all the bear survivability talents as feral. Any class. Find the toolkit that gives you the most mobility, slipperiness, escapes, and survivability. And make a build with that. Yes, I will be making guides for BG Blitz for every individual class. No, I cannot talk about all the builds right now. But this has already been so long and so much blabbering, and I still got so many video maps to do. But find the build, and we'll all look at it together as the expansion goes, that gives you slipperiness, mobility, escapes, immunities, not like bubble, but immunities to CC. And then survivability in any way, self-healing, big additions to your defensive cooldowns, anything that gives them a big oomph, right? Ports are fantastic. It's a shame that Locke is so bad at getting across the map because Locke does have a port. If you absolutely have to have the flag in your hands, then again, set the port right here. Grab those talents, right? Another class that would probably be kind of rough at grabbing it is Hunter because they don't have an enormous... They have some decent mobility, but again, once you're connected on, you don't really have any ways. You don't have the IBF stun out. You don't have blink to get away while being stunned. You don't have double roll and then a revival and then a fort brew and then you just can't catch them, right? There's a lot of movement spells from hero talents as well, so take a look at those and just see which set of hero talents gives you the most answers for that situation and run it across. Okay, so that's FCing. The reason why that section was so big is because now everybody's going to be FCing, not just the 5 tanks that are in the game or 6 or whatever it is, but every single spec and class could try their hand at it, and you're going to have to because sometimes you're just going to have a random comp where it's like, who FCs on this? Well, I guess it's going to have to be me, right? So that's a big deal. But then, of course, there's offense. If you're a healer, gather up with your offense push, keep them alive, keep them aggressive. Try and do as much cooldown, use as many cooldowns as fast as possible to keep them aggressive. If you all start rotting and you're like, I need to save your cooldowns, no, you don't. You have to keep them full health so they will keep pushing forward. If you start rotting and you're saving your cooldowns for a rainy day and then somebody dies and you start using things but it's too late and everybody pulled back, they're going to get pushed back across the map and then you're not going to have a good bomb in there. You have to stay full health. Keep going forward. Keep playing aggressive. Use AoE mobility things like Stampeding Roar, right, as an Ardrid. Get your team in there and play aggressive. Use your cooldowns early and often. Once you're in there, it's them that should be scared, right? It's their FC that's about to take so much damage. So all you have to do is get through the gauntlet on the way into any base. Once you're in there, you might not even need those cooldowns. You might need a few. You might need to do some big burst healing, but you might just be able to one-shot them, right? You've made it through the gauntlet. You've got through their initial burst, and now you get to burst on them, on one guy who's taking increased damage, right? So keep your team aggressive. Keep your team alive. Play high mobility. Stay ahead of the game. Don't just start typing in chat, I'm crowd controlled. Stop. Just do what you can. You're never going to be able to communicate mid-game. Do what you can to stay ahead of the fight. If they're here, you be here. Be where they need to be. Be where they need to go. Do not play in the far back and say, peel for your healers in the back lines, or you're never going to be able to get up there. You got to be fast, fluid, energized. Stacks go way faster in Battleground Blitz, so by the time you even get there, he's going to have 9 stacks. You cannot dilly-dally. You can't just hang back, right? Play aggressive. If you're a DPS, use defensives. Help your healer out. I just talked about all what a healer can do, but here's what you can do. Don't avoid pressing Death Strike the entire game just because it's not a damaging ability. You're not even trying to kill these guys out here. You're trying to kill this guy right here. Use your defensives, guys. Shield of Vengeance, Pally Wall. Use your cheetah form and your cheater ability in your wall as a hunter to get past this onslaught. If you have to block and get some regenerative ice, then cancel it early just to get another set of saves to get in there. Do it. Do not hold your defensives through 3% health and then go, healer, question mark? Heal. Where's the heals, question mark? Use your walls high health. Use them as you're running in. Don't save everything for right here, just like I told the healer to do. Use Astral Shift. Use Icebound Fortitude. Use Ret Wall, whatever the heck that's called. Use it to get past them. Disrupt them as you go. Polymorph this guy. Fear that guy. Cyclone this guy. Run past them and get to the FC. CC one healer. Hodge a healer. Blind a healer. And then immediately nuke that FC. The name of the game is urgency. You're not holding on to buttons. You're not whining that you didn't get heals. You're using what you possibly can to stay ahead of the game, to stay ahead of their team, to disrupt them on your way in, to stay healthy on your way in, and then one-shot the FC. And that is the entire game. It is going to be 2 teams trying to get their player across with peels and survivability and healing, disrupting all the casts that you possibly can, kicking things, CCing things, locking down their best player, stopping rogues on your FC by gripping him away and slowing him and cloning him and polying him. And then once you're there, it's just that gauntlet. Whichever team does that gauntlet better, whichever team does less, peel for your healer, or hello, can I get any heals? Whichever team says, I'm going to be the difference maker. I'm going to play with urgency. I'm going to stop this cast. I'm going to CC this guy. I'm going to wall high. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to make a difference. Whichever team has players that do that is going to win. And that is the exact same thing with Warsong Gulch. So this timestamp is 2 maps in 1. Twin Peaks and Warsong Gulch is exactly the same. Take everything that I just said about Twin Peaks and amplify it 100. Why? Because this gauntlet is more nauseating to deal with. Each base here on Warsong Gulch has a ramp that goes up to top. And this is generally where you want to hold the flag, all the way at the top, because that gives the most things they have to find their way through, the most trees in the forest that they have to get around before they can get to you. You don't want to just sit right here in the bottom on top of the cap unless they're just about to capture the flag. You need to be out somewhere that is difficult to reach, so you win the race of both teams trying to get to the other flag carrier. And as a result, that means that gauntlet period I just talked about is only extended. You have to go up through this tunnel, take a right and go up the ramp, and then get all the way into this little corridor, and then finally get through and get to the FC. And you have to do that over here on the Horde side as well. Up the tunnel, up the ramp, up to the top of the roof, right? It's a lot of time for Frost Mages to slow you. A lot of time for DKs to chains you. A lot of times for Rogues to sap you. And sometimes that's just the way that it goes. If they're playing well, if they're gauntleting well, which, by the way, again, if you're a gauntlet player, if you're a player with a lot of slows, a lot of CCs, a mage, a frost mage, a frost DK, do those things. And if you're doing those things well, then they're going to have to answer those things well. It is only about who uses their individual toolkit better, not who complains the most in raid chat. And I'm telling that to myself as well. You cannot win by just saying everybody else should have done something. You have to find out how disruptive can you be while they try and run up this ramp here, while they're just trying to get up this hill, but you have the high ground, Anakin, right? And you're just peppering them with CCs and damage. Or how good at you are you getting to the FC? If you're a rogue and a boomkin, stealth all the way there, kidney, incarn, and go. If you're a DK, and you're trying to play offense, you do have a good offensive toolkit because you're unpeelable. You have IBS, AMS, Lichborn, Death's Advance. You can play offense. You don't just have to play defense. I'll never let anybody tell you that. Grip these people down from the gauntlet point. Grip them down, change them, and then Death's Advance and run away while your teammate's getting away. They're like, oh no, I was supposed to be up here to CC, but now I'm down here at the bottom and I can't CC anymore. You guys run past them. Don't worry about them. They're chains device and it's undispellable. You run in there and you pop every offensive cooldown and bada boom. You got them. Exact same dynamics as Twin Peaks, but only accentuated. There is more gauntlet. That is more difficult to get there, and you have to be more of a difference maker to win the game. It is all the same stuff. Temple, best map. Best map, Temple. This is Team Slayer. This is Team Deathmatch from COD or Team Slayer if you're a Halo player. This is just about winning team fights and doing unbelievable upfront damage. If you are good at arenas and you were good at traditional RBGs and the big team fights that they had, you will be good at this map. There is a small area that you can get points when you're holding an orb. So let's talk about the mechanics again, because we're back into territory that people might not understand how to win. 4 orbs, orange, purple, green, and blue. They're color-coded just to help you out. And when you click one, you start getting points. And the closer you are to the middle, the more points you get. And the middle is a death zone, so it's scary to be there. But you absolutely can dive, especially if you're a high team fight class. But when you have that orb, you can't get rid of it. That orb is in your hands. And that means you can't use your immunities or anything that would make you drop it. You actually just cannot bubble. You just cannot block, right? You just have to hold that orb in your hands until you die. And as you have that orb stacking up a debuff, you get a little bit more damage done. So you're actually, if you can get some pressure off, you can really do some damage with that orb in your hands. But unfortunately, you also take a lot more damage, and you take way more extra damage than you give. So they are going to be all in on you. That means all CC, all disruption, all damage is going to be right there in your face, stopping you from doing anything and trying to kill you as fast as possible. What that means is, if you have grabbed the orb, you got to make sure that you can at least make a difference with the orb while you have it. Now, everybody kind of needs to grab orbs, because if your team just isn't picking, you just lose by default, because that means you're not getting any points. But you can't just pick up the orb, take 2 steps, and then die. You can't pick it up in their face, because then they'll kill you. You have to just kind of skirmish, try and get them low, then grab it and finish them off. Or maybe they grab it because they're like, oh no, I got to do something, and then you kill them, and then you pick it up, right? You can't just grab it in the face of 3 people, die instantly, and then say, hello, healers, right? That's not going to work. You have to understand when to grab it and who can grab. If you're a Ret Paladin, unfortunately, losing your biggest defensive is going to be hard. If you have Shield of Vengeance and Wall, pick it, wings, and then try and one-shot somebody before you die. If you have no Shield of Vengeance and Wall, but you have Bubble, don't pick it. Because then you pick it, and now the only defensive you have left, you can't use. Instead, use that bubble to become unpeelable and kill one of their orb carriers, right? It's not just a match. I've seen this on Reddit, and they're wrong. It is not just a match of whoever can pick up the most orbs, and anybody picks in any situation, and everybody just types in raid chat, pick orbs, pick orbs, pick orbs, with no regard for when and who should actually pick them. If you want to get to high, that might work at lower MMR. It might just be a mindless group of everybody picking at the same time, dying instantly, and seeing who sneaks their way up to 1500 first. But if you really want to win games, you got to know when and how. DKs can pick because they have a lot of self-sustain, and they can do a lot of damage in their blind. Like, let's say you do an A-bomb limb blind AoE stun go, IBF and AMS so they can't peel you, and then do a go with the extra damage buffs, and then kill 3 people before you die. That's a very positive trade. Casters can pick. Casters can pick because if they can sneak around the edge, they can start shooting big damage into the orb carriers in middle while being kind of uninteractable themselves, because sometimes a big fight comes in middle. Let's say their team spawns over there and they start coming and the rest of their team is in middle and you're over here. You can do a lot of damage before the spawners get all the way over to you. And if they start coming this way, you rotate that way. And if they start coming this way, you rotate that way. And that gives you a ton of time where you are doing damage, getting points, and racking up win condition for your team, right? Because you're a caster. Locks can actually pick it up. Unlike with the flag, Locks can pick up the orbs and do their instant cast Destro stuff, or get dots on everybody and have their rot amplified because you do get a damage buff while you have the orb. Mages can pick it up because they have some instant cast damage. Fire does, Frost does with the proc Ice Lances and the Frozen Orbs and the CC. You can peel for yourself with CC and then kite them and then blink out of stuns and get around. Like, let's say you get stunned here, right here by a kidney shot, and you blink and then line. And now all of a sudden, you were about to die, but because you're a mage with the orb instead of a ret might have died there if they had no wall and no shield avenge, but a mage blinks out of the stun and then just dips behind this line of sight. And now they can't grip you or range damage you, and you can just sneak away, and then maybe your team is right here and they can peel and you just get away, right? Having those answers, Boom can pick, right? Because again, shift to slow, dash around the pillar, incarn, do some range damage, keep lining and keep popping out for a Star Surge and a Star Surge and a Star Surge, and then line them and then Star Surge somebody in the middle right here and pop an orb carrier, and then you still have the orb and you grab Zerking and you're crazy. No, you don't actually do that. So if you are elusive, if you have answers for stuns, if you have ways of getting your damage off even while you're getting attacked by 6 people, grab an orb. If you don't have a wall or an answer that you can use with the orb, use that answer instead to go kill their orb. You're still making a difference. You don't just have to pick and die. That gets you 2 points. Let's say there's 3 people over here and 2 of you, and you guys are kind of reeling. Go out, get to mid, start impacting where you can play. Don't try and grab the orb out from under them, die, and then go back to the graveyard over here. Get out of this disadvantageous spot, right? This disadvantaged spot, right? And let them grab the orb. Yeah, it's going to be annoying because then they have it. Go kill somebody in mid real quick where you have probably more people, because if they have more people here, you have more people somewhere else. And then go back now that you're snowballing pressure and finish this orb carrier that's now taking more damage. You instead, you took a situation where you walk in, die, go here, to a situation where you made a play here, and now you can go make the play over there. And maybe they got 20 points from it, but they were about to get way more points than that from snowballing you guys instead. The whole name of Temple is, and this is how you get to higher MMR. Now again, at lower MMR, people are just going to say, everybody pick orbs, and then just run in there and die, and whoever picks more orbs and dies slower is going to win. The name of the game is finding out how you can kill their orb carriers, when you yourself needs to pick, and where you need to be on the map to do the most damage to the people who are the highest priority target. Are you killing it? Here's another great example. Are you killing a healer over here? Why? Are you actually killing him, or are you just doing some damage to him and then everybody says, get on the healers because they're playing random BGs for no reason? This is Temple of KOTMOGU, baby. This is a rated bracket. You don't just get the add-on, target their healers, and mindlessly target their healers by doing no damage to one guy across the map. You need to attack the guys with high orb carrier stacks. You need to cap the orb. You need to attack the orb carriers who could do the most damage. What if there's a mage casting Glacial Spike with the orb? Kill that guy. Who cares about the healers? The healers can't heal any DPS if they're all dead because they all had to grab orbs and then you killed them and now the healers are doing nothing, right? Can you finish a healer if you're snowballing pressure? Absolutely. Do you sit on him in random spots in the map because you've heard kill healers is an important thing in random battlegrounds 6 years ago in Isle of Conquest, right? Targeting their healers? No. You need to kill orb carriers with high stacks and high important spells. If there's a marksman hunter, just peppering your entire team. Right here, he's just sitting on the ledge, shooting high octane marksmanship hunter damage with an orb in his hands. Grip him in. Okay, you're not a DK. Charge to him. Avatar, Warbreaker, Shablamo, Stormbolt, smash him. Rogue, Kidney, open. Boomkin, open from stealth. Bash, Incarn. Do not do things that don't matter. Pick only when you're available to, and it will give your team a chance to hold the orb and get a ton of points, not die instantly. Otherwise, kill orb carriers. Slow healers. Keep them alive with no mana. Kill all their DPS with orbs, and then keep them alive with no mana. Then they have to pick, and now you kill a healer for free because they have an orb in their hands. Now their healer is dead, and then the other healer is one healing. Now you can swap to him and kill him, and now there's no healers in mid, and a bunch of DPS, and now you can just rot them all to death because nobody's healing them. Understand Temple. It's the greatest map. You just got to understand the mechanics. Okay. Finally, Silvershard Mines. Here's how Silvershard Mines works. Carts spawn from this center node, and they just run along a track. You cannot make it go any faster or slower until it gets to here. If you control the cart when it gets to that end point, here, here, and here, you can see them marked by these little icons. You get points. You also get a little bit of points for all the time you have it controlled. So if you tag something and then go to something that is capturing sooner, you can still get points as it just meanders or down the track as it's running, as long as you have it tagged. But if they tag it back at any time, of course, now they start getting points. And then if it ends in their favor, then they get the huge burst of points from capturing the cart. This is top. This is water. This is lava. Yes, there is water here, but it's not water. It is about where the node captures is how people are going to call things out if anybody types in chat or if you want to talk to your duo partner. This is the top because it is the topmost capture point. This is the water because it captures in the water. This is the lava because it captures in the lava. You do not care about this body of water because it's literally just a fucking pond. This does not matter, okay? This does not matter. Pardon my language. It does not matter. It's just a pool of water, okay? This is the water people are referring to because a node captures here, and a very fast node. Look how much, there's not very much time to go from here to there. Top is the slowest capturing, water is second slowest, lava is third, and they all come out at different times, so you have to know which one is where by pressing your map button. The first one that comes out is water, so it's actually going to be the first one to capture, and then the second one that comes out is lava, and it's going to be the second one to capture, but it's going to start catching up because it has less distance to go. So over time, lava captures the most nodes over the course of a game. If you have every lava, that is the most points you can get. If you have every top, that's the least points you can get. There are ways to change the track of a cart with little levers that make it go to this new top. Lever here, lever here. You can see it where the track goes a different way. And you can get both lava and top going to this new top, right? Or you could do one or the other. You could get this top going here and lava staying there, or lava going top and top staying here. That would be very weird because you need to have a node capturing here, here, and here. But that's just clicking the levers and not getting interrupted, and the lever spins. Sometimes you'll want to do that if you have a fantastic team fight. If you make both this one and this one go up top, then that means there's going to be a lot of battling right here at the end for those two nodes, which means if you're wiping them, but they're beating you in the off nodes with little rogue and boomy like 2v2s, but you're wiping them in the team fight, that means they have to do a team fight because 2 of the 3 nodes capture right here, which means if you're winning the team fights, you'll win those nodes. The whole point of this map is tag top as much as possible, but do not hold multiple people on this node. This is the most important advice maybe of the whole video because this one is so locked in. It is not even situational where this is a good thing. If you have 5 people at top, you're wrong. You're just wrong. If you have the most people on your team capturing the slowest node, you're wrong. This is just like all those times where I said if you're in a 5v3 and they're stalling you out, you're wrong. If you are at 5 men versus 3 at top, you're wrong, even if you're winning it, because that means the rest of their team is beating your team at the fastest capturing nodes, lava and water. Do you want to get some tops? Yes, you don't want to give all of them for free. Tag it, interact with it. Keep a rogue there, have him sap people out of the point. But if you find multiple players on your team going up the top, 1, try and convince them that the other nodes are better, and 2, do not engage. Doesn't matter if there's a big team fight up there. If they're sending 5 up there, good. Let them go to the other nodes. Play for water, play for lava. What you need to do is control this middle area, and this is something that I always talk about. Tag the news, right? Sometimes a node is lost and you just have to say, they've got this one. You're going back to the middle where everything spawns and multiple nodes may be spawning at the same time and you can tag the news, which means you stand in the point and you just start getting point progress, right? So that is really all the game is. When you're in a cart, you get progress toward your faction. And if they have more people than you, they get progress. Whoever has more people in gets progress. That's very simple, right? It's king of the hill. I said that in the beginning. But if you kill somebody, you get a huge chunk of progress in your way. So every time you kill somebody in a node, you get a huge jump. So if you're wiping them, you can get that node. Like you don't have to just say, oh, they have it, so we'll never get it. If it's starting to turn your favor and you kill somebody, it'll just go boom, and you'll turn it over, right? So middle of the map is where it spawns. Tag new nodes. Fight them in a team fight where lava and water just spawned. And then whichever one is the team fight, stay there and have your off carts, your rogues and your boomies, tag top, fight for water, right? Get every lava with team fights. tag this one and then either sit one rogue on there and to stall them out, or sit nobody on there and play for water, right? All this game is winning lava every time with monster team fights, stopping people from getting where they want to go by CCing them in a cap that's losing, right? If they're losing lava, keep them there. If you're winning lava, if you have it tagged over, don't let them just run away. CC them, slow them, stop them, stun them, grip them, do all of those things. If your entire team is in a losing situation, don't go up there, right? If they're losing up here, don't go up there. If they're about to lose water, don't go there. Get the news, get the new carts and start tagging these and play for the next one. If you are here and your team is right here and it's like, oh, we could maybe win that. No, you can't. You can't get there. You cannot get to here and turn it in time, which means then you went all the way up here and then their team is going to go all the way back there and capture it again. But if you stay here, plant yourself and kill people in the res and pick people off one by one, now all of a sudden you have the initiative. You have more players and you can win the next one, right? Don't get locked into bad situations. Don't go for nodes that are already captured. Be very, very weary of top because it is bad. And there's a point right here where you can just get knocked off into this pool that doesn't matter at all. And then all of a sudden you just get taken out of the game. So if you are a class that cannot take advantage of knocks and you don't have stealth and you don't have knock immunity and you get yourself to top and you get knocked off into the water and then they capture top and you're just swimming around down here, you've just made yourself the most worthless player on the team. That is what you've done. And that is the end of Silvershard Mines and thus the video. That is all the BG Blitz maps. That is all of the advice I can think of in this amount of time. I will be making individualized guides for maps in the future and classes and specs. Just let me know if this helped in any way. Give me a comment telling me that you learned something or that there's still questions you have, and ask them and I will try my best to answer them. This is a hard one. This is a long one. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.